caught up in some other service. Okay, so we're starting the 6th chapter, the activities of Rishabdev. So in the last verse of the previous chapter, Shukdev Goswami said that Lord Rishabdev got a lot of mystic powers, but yes, he never accepted. So immediately Parikshit Maharaj is asking a question. King Parikshit asked Shukdev Goswami, "My dear Lord, for those who are completely pure in heart, knowledge is attained by practice of bhakti yoga and attachment for fruitive activity is completely burnt to ashes. For such people, the powers of mystic yoga automatically arise. They do not cause distress. Why then did Rishabdev neglect them?" Okay, so that's Parikshit Maharaj's question. Srila Prabhupada writes, "A pure devotee is constantly engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whatever is necessary for the discharge of devotional service is automatically attained, though it may appear to be the result of mystic yoga power. Sometimes a yogi displays little yogi power by manufacturing gold. A little quantity of gold captivates foolish people, and thus the yogi has many followers who are willing to accept such a tiny person as Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a yogi may also advertise himself as Bhagwan. However, a devotee does not have to exhibit such magical powers." So everyone knows who is the so-called Bhagwan. So Prabhupada doesn't take names. Without practicing the mystic yogic process, he achieves even greater opulence all over the world. Under the circumstances, Lord Rishabdev refused to manifest mystic yogic perfections, and Maharaj Parikshit asked why he did not accept them, since for a devotee they are not all disturbing. A devotee is never distressed or satisfied by material opulence. Okay, he is never distressed or satisfied. So basically he is indifferent. His concern is how to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If by the grace of the Supreme Lord, a devotee achieves extraordinary opulence, he utilizes the opportunity for the Lord's service. He is not disturbed by the opulence. Okay, so basically the principle of Yukta Vairagya, he can use everything in Krishna's service. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj is asking the question, why Lord Rishabdev did not use. Okay. And now Shukdev Goswami is replying, and Shukdev Goswami in these verses is speaking a very important theme for the next 4 or 5 verses. Okay, read the translation, next one.
Srila Sukadeva Goswami replied, "My dear king, you have spoken correctly. However, after capturing animals, a cunning hunter does not put faith in them, for they might run away. Similarly, those who are advanced in spiritual life do not put faith in the mind. Indeed, they always remain vigilant and watch the mind's action."
Okay, read the purport.
In Bhagavad Gita 18.5, Lord Krishna says, "Yajna dana tapak karma na tyajyam karyam evatat yajno danam tapascheva pavanani manishinam." Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up, but should be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. Even one who has renounced the world and has taken sannyas should not renounce chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Renunciation does not mean that one has to renounce Sankirtan Yajna. Similarly, one should not renounce charity or tapasya. The yoga system for control of the mind and senses must be strictly followed. Lord Rishabdev showed how severe types of tapasya could be performed, and he set an example for all others.
Right. So, anyway, this is the answer to the point somebody was asking yesterday, that why Lord Rishabdev, he performed such severe austerities as an avdut, and he tolerated all that. So he wanted to set this example as to how a yogi should perform tapasya. So he set a very high standard. So what severe tapasya a yogi should perform. So that's the example he wanted to set. So we'll read these few verses and then we will have a discussion. Okay? Read the next one. Third, pass.
Scholars have given their opinion. The mind is by nature very restless, and we should not make friends with it. If we place full confidence in the mind, it may cheat us at any moment. Even Lord Shiva became agitated upon seeing the Mohini form of Lord Krishna, and Saubhari Muni also fell down from the mature stage of yogic perfection.
Okay, so here Srila Prabhupada writes, the first business of one trying to advance in spiritual life is to control the mind and senses. And then he's quoting this Manashashtan Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. And further on, Prabhupada writes, to get out of this false struggle for existence and become happy in the material world, one has to control the mind and senses and be detached from material conditions. One should never neglect austerities and penances. One should always perform them. Lord Rishabdev personally showed us how to do this. That's the point. Okay? Lord Rishabdev personally showed how to perform austerities and penances. And then Prabhupada is quoting this verse. Matra swasra duhitrava na viviktas no bhavet bhalavan indriya gramo vidvam samapi karshati. Okay? We know the translation. I'm going a little ahead. In our Krishna consciousness movement, it has been very difficult to disassociate ourselves from women in our society, especially in Western countries. We are therefore sometimes criticized, but nonetheless, we are trying to give everyone a chance to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and thus advance spiritually. And then comes a golden statement we can always remember. If we stick to the principle of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra offenselessly, then by the grace of Srila Haridas Thakur, we may be saved from the allurement of women. Very important statement for all brahmacharis and sannyasis. Is giving the key how to save oneself from the allurement of women. Maybe we can together repeat the statement. If we stick to the principle of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra offenselessly, then by the grace of Srila Haridas Thakur, we may be saved from the allurement of women. However, if we are not very strict in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we may at any time fall victim to women. If we are not very strict in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we may at any time fall victim to women. Prabhupada has given everything in his books. Up to us to follow. Okay, read the next one. Wait, hold on.
An unchaste woman is very easily carried away by paramours, and it sometimes happens that her husband is violently killed by her paramours. If the yogi gives his mind a chance and does not restrain it, his mind will give facility to enemies like lust, anger, and greed, and they will doubtlessly kill a yogi.
Purport.
In this verse, the word Pumschali refers to a woman who is easily carried away by men. Such a woman is never to be trusted. Unfortunately, in the present age, women are never controlled. According to the directions of the Shastras, women are never to be given freedom. When a child, a woman must be strictly controlled by her father. When she is young, she must be strictly controlled by her husband. And when she is old, she must be controlled by her elderly son. If she is given independence and allowed to mingle unrestrictedly with men, she will be spoiled. A spoiled woman being manipulated by paramours might even kill her husband. This example is given here because a yogi desiring to get free from material conditions must always keep his mind under control. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur used to say that in the morning our first business should be to beat the mind with shoes 100 times, and before going to bed to beat the mind 100 times with broomstick. In this way, one's mind can be kept under control. An uncontrolled mind and unchaste wife are the same. An unchaste wife can kill her husband at any time, and an uncontrolled mind followed by lust, anger, greed, madness, envy, and illusion can certainly kill the yogi. When the yogi is controlled by the mind, he falls down into the material condition. One should be very careful of the mind, just as a husband should be careful of an unchaste wife.
Okay. Next one, fifth one. Let's recite this one. Kamamanyur madolobha shokamoha bhayadayah karma bandhasya yanmulaha svikuryat ko nu tadbudaha. Read.
The mind is the root cause of lust, anger, pride, greed, lamentation, illusion, and fear. Combined, these constitute bondage to fruitive activities. What learned man would put faith in the mind?
Purport.
The mind is the original cause of material bondage. It is followed by many enemies such as anger, pride, greed, lamentation, illusion, and fear. The best way to control the mind is to engage it always in Krishna consciousness. Savai manah Krishna padaravindayo. Since the followers of the mind bring about material bondage, we should be very careful not to trust the mind.
Okay, so these are the few verses Shukdev Goswami is speaking about the mind in order to answer that question of Parikshit Maharaj as to why Lord Rishabdev rejected the mystic powers. So, just to get everyone's mind working, so we'll have a little bit of group discussion, okay? So, just for 5 minutes, okay? Just for 5 minutes. Okay, just make groups of 3. थोड़ा एक ग्रुप बनाओ ना थोड़ा, हाँ थोड़ा ग्रुप दिखना तो चाहिए ना. हाँ आप आ जाओ वहाँ, आप 3. Okay, so 2 questions basically. Hare Krishna, 2 questions, write down. What are the symptoms of the uncontrolled mind? All this is in relation to brahmacharis, okay? Specifically for brahmacharis. Symptoms of uncontrolled mind, consequences of uncontrolled mind, and solutions for the uncontrolled mind. Symptoms, consequences, solutions. Okay? All of you are pundits, you know everything, just put them down. Solutions. Okay, 5 minutes, nothing more. Maybe symptoms, consequences may a little bit overlap. It's okay. Okay, please try to conclude in a minute. Okay, do you require more time? Okay, fine. I mean, we'll start. You can keep meditating, no problem. Okay, somebody is there to write. Somebody who can write neat and fast. कोई तो आ जाओ जल्दी. Why not volunteer for yourself? हाँ वहाँ पर so three parts. अरे बीच में नहीं, 3 parts बनाओ. नहीं नहीं, अरे पीछे चलेगा. अरे क्या हो गया ये इतना बड़ा, ये इतना छोटा, ये क्या है ये? अरे इंजीनियरिंग किया है ये सब. हाँ ठीक है. हरे कृष्णा. Okay, one point, all groups. Okay, start with symptoms. One point.
Confused, not interested in everything. He wants to know everything.
Two different points. One you said is confused. Confused. Okay, right? Confused. Why confused? Why confused? Why confused?
Because of too many things he wanted.
Uh-huh.
Too many desires. Not able to decide anything. Indecision.
Okay, fine. The mind is hankering for too many things, so therefore confused. Okay, fine. Next.
Disturbed.
What's the difference between confused and disturbed?
But disturbance is shown to everyone.
Disturbance in what sense there is disturbance?
Like the mind always wondering to do something is told to do something else.
Okay, so you're referring to basically not following instructions, right? That's what you're referring to. Okay, write that. Not following instructions. Confused means indecision, correct? Confused means indecision, not able to come to decision. In confused, you write indecision. Okay, not following instructions. Next group. Next. No accountability. Okay, how is that related to uncontrolled mind? Okay, so not taking responsibility. Not taking responsibility. Okay, who's the next group? There, piche. Self-centered. Okay, why self-centered? Okay, yes, that's true. The mind is looking for sense enjoyment, so it becomes self-centered. Right, next.
He will lack determination and because of which he will not be able to follow the
Okay, we already said not following instructions, but we'll take your other point. Okay, no determination. No determination. No determination for what? No determination for sense gratification? No determination for spiritual life, right? Okay, no determination for the spiritual program. Next point. Agitated means what? Okay, carried away by sense objects. Okay, fine. Carried away by sense objects. Any other point somebody wants to add in symptoms? Huh?
In Bhagavad Gita, it is bandhaya visyasana. His mind is attached to sense objects, then it is cause for bondage.
Okay, bondage. Of course, bondage is not a symptom, bondage is a consequence, right? Bondage is a consequence. In symptoms, anything more? Okay, dissatisfied. Okay, dissatisfied. Okay, that's not carried away by sense objects, not able to control the senses. It comes within that. Okay, that's a good point. Not trustworthy. Not trustworthy.
Too many material desires.
Oh, ho gaya na. Sense objects, material desires. Okay, you're right, material desires. And somebody said something? Why insecurity? Why insecurity? What does insecurity mean? One feels insecure due to lacking something, right? Or at least he's imagining he's lacking something, then one feels insecure, correct? So basically, insecurity is due to envy. So the connection is as soon as one is attached to sense objects or anything material, one always feels other person has more than me, or I require more, and I don't have it. So therefore, he feels insecure. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, insecurity. Okay, complaining due to what? Because he always feels he lacks things. Okay, fine. Okay, complaining. Okay, fine. Okay, go to consequences. Consequences. Hey, wait. One by one. Group. Huh? Blasphemy. What's the relation? Why he commits offenses? Okay, that's a good point. Okay, so not following etiquettes leading to aparads. And of course, one of the ways to commit offenses is by blasphemy. Aparads. Aparads, blasphemy within that. Aparad is DH. Next. Lack of enthusiasm. Why? Why? That is only, the topic is uncontrolled mind only, but what's the connection? Okay, lack of enthusiasm. Okay, lack of enthusiasm because the whole energy goes for sense gratification. So there's no enthusiasm for Krishna consciousness. Okay, आपका? क्या? Okay, mechanical sadhana. Okay, there's no taste because the mechanical sadhana. अरे आप दो लोग कौन से ग्रुप में हैं? अच्छा. Okay, fine. Okay, can fall prey to breaking the regulative principles. Breaking the regulative principles. Yes. रुको ना. Failure in not achieving. Okay, so cannot achieve the desired outcome. Yes, cannot achieve the desired outcome. Next group. Consequence. क्या बोलो? So what's the result of that? Okay, so mechanical sadhana, no determination. Okay, fine. Next. Creates trouble for authorities. Why? Okay, so his mind is disturbed, that's correct. So what's the trouble for the authorities? That is his mind. What do the authorities care for his mind? And then? So he's not able to do the service properly. Okay, fine. So not able to focus on service. Not able to focus on service. Okay, so you can write, so therefore, authority is dissatisfied. Dissatisfied authorities. Okay, that's the ultimate thing. Okay. So, gives up Krishna consciousness and bondage. Okay, fall prey to breaking regulative principles. Okay, material attachments. Okay, material attachments. हाँ, आप क्या बोल रहे? Okay, so basically all these material attachments, under material attachments, all those come. Okay, right here. Some examples: puja, la, pratishta, money, wealth, women, kanak, kamani, pratishta. हाँ, any other consequences? हाँ, हो गया ना. Mechanical sadhana, no steadiness. वहाँ लिखो sadhana, no steadiness. हाँ, एक जन बोलो ना. हाँ. Okay, so materialistic association. Materialistic association. Yes, asatsang. Okay, fine. बस. Solutions. Okay, let's start. ए आप ही बोल रहे हैं, ये तो मौन व्रत है क्या इनका? हाँ? Okay, chanting what? Chanting what? Okay, but I'm asking chanting what? Ah. There are so many mantras to chant. Yes. Chanting offenselessly. Chanting offenselessly Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Within offenselessly, attentively also comes. Next. Okay, good association. Okay, good association. Good association. Next. Okay, accountability to myself. Okay, okay, accountability to the authorities. Huh. Oh, very good, yes. Strictly following Srila Prabhupada's instructions. And you can also put Shastras. Next. Okay, being satisfied as an austerity. Like, okay, so all that is not conducive. Okay, away from disturbing elements. Yes, whatever disturbs devotion, sir. Okay, so point is engaging the mind. No, somebody will say, how will physical service help to control the mind? Okay, so basically keeping oneself engaged, okay, engaging the mind, here only you write, engaging the mind, body, senses, keeping oneself busy. Busy, no idle time. No idle time. Of course, association we have already put, but okay, serving, Mahat Seva, you write Mahat Seva. Mahat Seva. Okay. Okay, honoring only prasadam. Okay, responsible services. Responsible services. Akshab. Okay, reading scriptures. Reading scriptures. Okay, within that, following Prabhupada's instructions. Okay, fine, thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, so yes, as in these verses we find Shukdev Goswami is mentioning about what happens when the mind is uncontrolled. So basically one becomes a victim of lust, greed, pride, anger, envy, illusion. And that's how one becomes entangled in the material world. So in connection to the second verse, in the second verse Shukdev Goswami is giving the analogy of the hunter. The hunter who has captured an animal, but he's always alert because the animal can escape at any moment. And Well, what to speak of in any other place? It happened right within our ISKCON center. In Mayapur. Yes. You know what the elephant did? Yes, the elephant killed one of the caretakers. On one day, we don't know what exactly happened, but somehow the elephant got angry and killed. How much time it takes for the elephant to kill a man? Not too much. So, just pushed him against the wall and finished. So that's what the animal can do at any time. And there have been instances where even lions or tigers have attacked the caretaker. So those things happen. So we don't know. So at any point of time, the animal can go out of control. And I would like to read Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentary to this verse. He puts it a little more graphically. So he says, you have spoken correctly. Shukdev Goswami is saying, you have spoken correctly. The mystic powers should not give problems. However, intelligent persons can never put faith in the mind. Why? The mind at every moment takes on a new condition. Very unsteady. Chanchalam, chanchalam. So it takes on a new condition. Becoming pure, the mind immediately becomes impure. At one instance is pure, at another instance impure. The degraded, cunning person, so here he is referring to the hunter. He's taking a slightly different meaning here. He is calling the hunter or the kirat as a degraded, cunning person. After showing friendship, kills the trusting person after robbing him. So a cunning person, what he does? He shows friendship. Why he shows friendship? To loot him. He shows friendship, behaves like a nice person, and then he loots him and kills him after robbing him. After showing its purity with power not to be influenced by lust and anger, one day the mind makes the sadhaka who has become lax in effort to fall down by sudden appearance of lust or anger. So if the sadhaka thinks, now my mind is in control, no more lust, anger, now I can make my sadhana little dhila, because now everything in control. And the moment the sadhak makes his sadhana dhila, what will happen? Immediately the lust and anger will come up and make him fall down. Everything happens very suddenly. It doesn't take too much time. Therefore, one can never think, now my mind is in control, now my senses are under control, now I am safe. One can never think like that. Though the low-born person constantly studies dharma and shows good character and is trusted even in the treasury, he sometimes commits theft since his nature is difficult to give up. So sometimes a person is accepted, he's put in the treasury. Why? He's very trustworthy. Very trustworthy man. They give him the treasury. But what happens? All of a sudden, the mind shows different colors and he commits theft. Because the nature of the mind, cunning nature of the mind, chanchalam, very difficult to give up. Similarly, though one trusts the mind which has been purified by sense control and mind control and has become fixed in hearing and meditation, the uncontrolled mind becomes absorbed in sinful object when given the opportunity and takes away the discriminating knowledge. So it appears as if, oh, mind is purified, senses are purified, everything is in control, my hearing, chanting, everything is going nicely. But at any moment, the mind will fix on some sense object. Then we know, dhyayato vishayan pumsa. Then we know what happens. Takes away the discriminating knowledge and then the person falls down. So this is what happens. So therefore, in the next verse he says that one should never make friends with the unsteady minds. And Shukdev Goswami is giving two examples. Which examples? Yes, Lord Shiva and Saubhari Muni. Even Lord Shiva, he's supposed to be sense controlled. But then, of course, Mohini form is, of course, Krishna himself, that is a spiritual energy. But still, Shukdev Goswami is giving that example. So, if we place full confidence in the mind, it may cheat us at any moment. At any moment, the mind can cheat us. So, one has to be very careful. The mind is extremely powerful. And therefore, in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is quoting this verse, which he quoted quite often, Matra, Swasra, Duhitra va, na viviktas no bhavet. So, when Prabhupada speaks on this in his lectures, he says, who will become sexually attracted to mother, daughter, sister? Maybe only a fool. But what it is said? Vidwan samapi, not fool, Vidwan. Even Vidwan, if he's left alone with mother, daughter, sister, he can get agitated. That is how powerful the mind is. And therefore we know I think so we told this past time before also, when Srila Prabhupada was sitting in the room with his disciple Mahabuddhi Prabhu, and then Pishima walks in, and then they start speaking in Bengali. This Mahabuddhi Prabhu stands up to leave. Prabhupada says, sit down! He doesn't understand why Prabhupada is giving such a stern instruction. Anyway, he sits down. And then after Pishima left, Srila Prabhupada, Mahabuddhi Prabhu asked Srila Prabhupada, I couldn't understand what you're speaking in Bengali, so I was trying to go out. Why did you tell me to sit? And then Prabhupada just quoted this verse. Matra, Swasra, Duhitra. And what was the age of Prabhupada and his sister at that time? Almost 75 plus. At that age, Srila Prabhupada is setting the example. He's setting the example. How careful one must be. It just reminded me of a pastime of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So, one of his personal servants, he told me. So once, Maharaj got into a lift, and then one lady got in at the same time. And Maharaj immediately said, stop. So the lift was stopped. Maharaj walked out. Let her go. That was how strict Maharaj was. So we can never take these things for granted. One needs to be extremely careful. And we also know the pastime of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, O.B.L. Kapoor and his wife. That time they were young. But she wanted to speak in a place alone. He said, no, you speak in front of these devotees, nothing alone. So this is the example which our acharyas have set. The point is, one can never trust the mind. And over the years, we have seen within our own society how many examples of senior devotees, sannyasis, GBCs, becoming victims. So therefore, where do we stand? Therefore, one has to be extremely careful. So, in the commentary to this verse, Vishwanath Thakur again he writes a nice point. Because of faith in the mind, one's austerity practiced over a long time, chirat chirnam, flows away. Chaskanda. Austerity practiced over a long time, but then, within moments, everything finished. So, therefore, one has to be extremely careful. So one may have practiced Krishna consciousness over so many years, being in the renounced order, all that one may have done. But a little negligence, and in just a few moments, everything can be finished. And it has happened so many times. So therefore, one has to be extremely careful. Walking on razor's edge. Never trust the minds. So, And in the fourth verse, he's giving a nice analogy of the uncontrolled mind being compared to the unchaste wife. The unchaste wife, so she has a paramour, and so the husband is a disturbance for her. So then she gets some gundas, and together they murder the husband. Correct? These things actually happen, correct? They actually happen. I think in the previous class I told the incident about a reverse incident where the husband had an affair with another lady, and so then he killed his wife because he had an affair with another lady. But anyways, the result of that was that a big bungalow came to ISKCON. Anyway. So, any case, the point is that all these things again and again we see happening because of this uncontrolled mind. The mind is because the mind is getting its energy from yes, the material energy, the material energy of the illusory energy, the illusory material energy of the Lord influences the subtle body, influences the mind especially. And that's how the mind gets so much of energy. And the mind is chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavad dridam. And we all have experienced, right? Once the mind gets hooked onto something, any sense object, any idea, anything the mind gets hooked on, what happens? The mind keeps on contemplating on that, keeps on contemplating. Very difficult to give up. Very difficult to give up. So similarly, the yogi can be killed. That means spiritual life can be killed, destroyed, if the yogi gives a chance to the mind. And so therefore, in the fifth verse, therefore, Shukdev Goswami says, what learned man would put faith in the mind? Which learned man would put faith in the mind? Swikuryat ka no tat buddha. If one is Buddha, who will put faith in the mind? The problem is many times, in fact, before we came to devotional service, how many of us actually knew that I am separate from my mind, the mind is another entity, I am separate? Did we even know this? No, most of us didn't even know that we are spirit souls, correct? It is I did not. So then one simply misidentifies with the body and the mind. So that means what? Whatever the mind says, one faithfully follows. That's what people do. One faithfully follows. So, and that is why they have that slogan, na, just do it. That is why they have the slogan. Whatever the mind says, just do it. That is the slogan. And that is what happens in materialistic life. But the point is, this is the conditioning, this is the background from which we have come. We should remember this. This is the background from which we have come. This terrible background. Interestingly, just a few days back, His Grace Shankar Shandas Adhikari Prabhupada's disciple, he gave class in Mayapur. I think so, I did mention this in the previous class. He began his Bhagavatam class by saying, I'm praying to Srila Prabhupada. I'm praying to at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada again and again and again. 3 times he said, again and again and again, to please help me to control this restless mind which is jumping like a monkey from one branch of the tree to the other. That's how he began his Bhagavatam class. So actually, even to come to that realization takes a long time. Otherwise, many times we think our mind is our friend. That is the problem. Even to come to that realization that I have a mind which is my enemy, even to come to that realization takes a very long time. Otherwise, we firmly believe that the mind is a friend and whatever the mind is saying is good for me. Right. And therefore, the more we get purified, the more we will realize this actually. The more we will realize it. And the more one will be careful. In the conditioned state, one does not even realize that there is a problem. So if I don't even understand that I have a disease, then will I go to the doctor? No. First of all, I have to recognize that I have a disease. When I recognize that I have a disease, then I will take some precautions. Otherwise, I will not even take precautions. So therefore, first of all, one has to recognize that I have a mind who is potentially my worst enemy. Worst enemy. First of all, I have to recognize that. Then I will be careful. Otherwise, if one does not even recognize it, then there's no question of being careful. And we can see another good example in the Bhagavatam is of Bharat Maharaj. Even though so advanced, his mind tricked him. His mind tricked him. And when he became attached to the deer, we read in the Bhagavatam, what did the mind do? When he became attached to the deer, what did the mind do? Justified everything. So much justification, we read in the Bhagavatam. So much justification. What this poor animal, nobody to protect, some jackals and wolves will eat. So if I don't protect, who will protect? So much of justification. So this is false material compassion. And sometimes brahmacharis do this. They show false material compassion on a woman. And we have seen these things happening. Oh, this poor lady, who will take care? If I don't give guidance, who will give? We have seen these things happening. So this is false material compassion. This is how the mind tricks. Compassion is a good quality. But where it has to be shown, on whom it has to be shown, how much is to be shown, everything has to be understood. Otherwise, the mind will trick. Very nice quality, compassion. Oh, show compassion, very nice. So, therefore, one needs to be extremely careful. And therefore, in the purport to this verse, in the purport to the fifth verse, Srila Prabhupada, he gives one solution. And what is that? Savai mana Krishna padaravindayo. The mind is to be always engaged in Krishna consciousness. And what is the second solution is giving? With the same purport. Yes, not to trust the mind. Not to trust the mind. Now, in regards to this mind, as you will read in the further chapters of the 5th canto itself, Jad Bharat speaks elaborately. Of course, Narad Muni already spoke to King Prasin Barishad. But again here you will read Jad Bharat speaking elaborately about the mind in the further chapters. But one verse we would like to, with one very important verse and very important purport, Srila Prabhupada gives. We would like to read that. So somebody can quickly open. This is 5th canto, 11th chapter, 17th verse. Yes. Where's the mic? He's reading.
The uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. Although it is also factual, it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O King, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care.
Purport.
Purport. There is one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered: disobedience. The mind is always telling us to do this or that. Therefore, we should be very expert in disobeying the mind's order. Gradually, the mind should be trained to disobey the orders of the To obey the orders of the soul. It's not that one should obey the orders of the mind. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that to control the mind, one should beat it with shoes many times just after awakening and again before going to sleep. In this way, one can control the mind. This is the instruction of all the Shastras. If one does not do so, one is doomed to follow the dictations of the mind. Another bona fide process is to abide strictly the orders of the spiritual master and engage in the Lord's service. Then the mind will be automatically controlled. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had instructed Srila Rupa Goswami, Brahmana Brahmite Kauna Bhagyavana Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasada Pai Bhakti Ladavi, Chaitanya Madhya Lila 19.151. When one receives the seed of devotional service by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's real life begins. If one abides by the orders of the spiritual master, by the grace of Krishna, he is freed from the service of mind.
That's last sentence is the highlight of the whole purport. If one abides by the orders of the spiritual master, by the grace of Krishna, he is freed from service to the mind. So when one follows the orders of the spiritual master, that attracts Krishna's grace. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasada. And only Krishna can control the minds. Because Arjuna says, how powerful is the mind? Yes, Vayureva Sadushka. Even more difficult than to control the raging winds, like a cyclonic wind. Who can control that? And Arjuna is saying the mind is worse than that. Worse than that. So who can control? Only Krishna can control. So that means we have to attract the grace of Krishna. And how to attract the grace of Krishna? By following the orders of the spiritual master. And therefore, in this verse, in the Sanskrit, you can see, he says, Gurur Hare Charana Upasana Astra. This is the Astra. Haribol Prabhus, your mind is getting distracted. Be careful. Gurur Hare Charana Upasana Astra. This is the Astra, this is the weapon. This is the weapon to control the mind. So to the degree we are fixed in following the instructions of Guru and Hari, to that degree we'll be able to control the mind. Because the mind will say so many things which are against the instructions of Guru and Krishna. But if we know what are the instructions of Guru and Krishna, then even though the mind may be saying so many things which are against the instructions, then we'll be in focus. This is what Guru has said. A very famous example, well-known example in this connection is Giriraj Maharaj. You know that well-known incident when the prostitute was sent. So when the prostitute was trying to allure him, what was the thought that immediately came to his mind? Yes. If I do something wrong, what will Srila Prabhupada think about me? That was immediately the thought. So when one is fixed in trying to please Guru and Krishna, then even though the mind may be saying so many nasty things, do this, do that, the mind may say so many nasty things, but the immediate question that a sincere devotee will always ask is, will this please Guru and Krishna? That is what a sincere devotee will always ask. The mind will say, no, do this, this is good for you, this is good for you, do this, do that. But good for whom? So as somebody said, self-centered. The mind will always propose things which are self-centered. Of course, even for the self, they are not good. But at least that's what the mind imagines. Because the mind does not know, under the influence of the material energy, the mind does not know what is good for oneself. The mind does not know. So, the mind will be distracted by so many things. Practically at every moment, give the mind a chance, the mind gets distracted. Immediately. We all have experience of that. So therefore, but if one is fixed, Will this please Guru and Krishna? That should be always the thoughts that should cross the mind. When the mind is giving so many propositions, that should be the immediate thoughts. Will this please Guru and Krishna? Will Srila Prabhupada be pleased with what I'm about to do? That should be always the thought process when the mind is proposing different things. And that is why that is the astra, that is the weapon. If one is fixed in that, Gurur, Harer, Charana, Upasana, Astra. If one is fixed in that, will this please Guru and Krishna? Then there is no question of doing anything wrong or anything against the instructions of Guru and Krishna. So therefore, one has to remind oneself constantly. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada emphasized the daily Bhagavatam class, the daily chanting, so that it's a reminder to us. Every day we hear it. This is what you're supposed to do. Please Guru and Krishna. Then we keep hearing it again and again and again. Then something will sink inside. And when the mind is proposing anything which is not conducive to a practice of devotional service, what one has to do? Upeksha. And therefore Prabhupada begins his purport by saying, this is one easy weapon, of course not so easy, but there is one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered, and that is disobedience, upeksha. The mind is always telling us, do this, do that. We should be very expert in disobeying the mind's orders. Expert in disobeying the mind's orders. So as long as the mind is giving orders which are not conducive to devotional service, one should be expert in disobeying them. And especially for those in the renounced order, Maya Devi, the illusory energy, will put double efforts. We should always remember that. Of course, that is a test. And definitely those in the renounced order will get very severe tests. Haridas Thakur was tested by whom? Yes, Maya Devi herself, in personified form of Maya Devi. Just imagine that. Now we have insignificant expansions of Maya Devi and we have tough time. Totally insignificant. And what to speak of Maya Devi personified? But as we just read, the only way we can save ourselves is what? Offenselessly chanting the holy names. That is the only solution. And the mother of all offenses is inattentive chanting. But it's so unfortunate because there is no accountability for chanting. Inattentive chanting has almost become the norm. As one senior proper disciple said, this movement is called as the Hare Krishna movement, but the thing that is most neglected is Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's a fact. Why? No accountability. No accountability. I can chant anyway, right? I can chant looking at the mobile, I can chant looking at the scenery, I can chant anyways. Is anyone going to question me? Is anyone going to question? No, nobody is going to question. Nobody asks, right? And even if somebody asks, the mind will trick. Even if some senior devotee asks, so how's your chanting going? What's the usual reply we'll give? Oh, it's going good, right? It's going good. That is the trick of the mind. That itself is the trick of the mind. And we will do all nasty chanting, and yet the mind will justify everything. And say, well, all this is required, you're such a busy person, if you don't check your emails and if you don't check your WhatsApp messages during the chanting, how will you get time during the rest of the day? This is the only time for you to do all these things. That's how the mind is going to justify everything. And how many become victims of this? How many? That's how the mind cheats. That's how the mind cheats. And then inattentive chanting, No purification. No purification means all the anarthas remain, lust, greed, anger, pride, everything remains. And then offenses. And then once the offenses take place, Krishna's mercy is withdrawn. Then what? Easy victim to Maya. Once the spiritual potency is lost, then what? What remains? Easy victim to Maya. That's what happens. Therefore, spiritual life is not a joke. We have to remember this. It's not a joke. We are on a very serious business and a very serious mission. As Srila Prabhupada often says, even to travel from one country to another, so many things are required. Passport, visa, and so many documents and this and that, so much. So difficult. And then going back to the spiritual world, that's going to be easy. Crossing beyond the material universes and going to the spiritual world. Is it a joke? Is it going to be easy? So we can't take these things casually. If we are serious about actually achieving our goal, we have to take everything very seriously. It's a very serious business. We have to take very seriously the instructions of Guru and Krishna and sincerely try to follow. Otherwise, in Kali Yuga, Srila Prabhupada himself says, Ajamil pastime, in connection to Ajamil pastime, so many lectures of Srila Prabhupada, he says, at that time, Satya Yuga, Ajamil saw only one scene. And now, everywhere, all around we see. How can one remain in the renounced order? How can one remain? It is only possible by, yes, the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and as we read today, the mercy of Srila Haridas Thakur. Only by their mercy it is possible. But for that, what one has to do? Offenselessly chant Hare Krishna. In fact, that's the whole crux of the problem. The whole crux of the problem is offenses. That is the whole problem. And it all begins with inattentive chanting. So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given a very easy process. And Srila Prabhupada simplified it even further. And just said, chant, dance and be happy. Very simple. But just that chanting we are not able to do. That one primary instruction, chanting, which Srila Prabhupada has simplified, only 16 rounds, but even that we are not able to do properly. In one lecture, Prabhupada says that. The process is so simple, just chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regulative principles, but we are so fallen, or to put it in Prabhupada's words, we are so rascal, we can't even do that much. That's our degraded plight in Kali Yuga. And yet we are so proud, thinking we are great. That's the height of illusion that Maya puts us into. Even though so fallen, so degraded, that we cannot follow the easiest process that has been sanctioned by the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even that we are having difficulty in following. What is there to be proud of? There's nothing to be proud of. Therefore, the solution is Trinada Pisunichena. If we remain humble, then we beg at the feet of Guru and Krishna to give us some strength to follow the process properly. Otherwise, without that spiritual strength, by the forces of Maya, within a moment, one will be just swept away by the forces of Maya. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada actually has given lectures on all these verses of the 5th canto, 6th chapter, these verses on the mind. Prabhupada has given lectures on each one of them, and very important for all of us to hear those lectures. So, just one point in one of the lectures I'll mention. So, Srila Prabhupada is bringing the philosophy to a practical situation, a practical problem which was being faced at that time. And Srila Prabhupada says, so now I am seeing that some of you are once again becoming long-haired hippies. And then Srila Prabhupada says, quoting Chanakya Pandit, now you are all grown up, I'm an old man, I cannot chastise you. Therefore, with folded hands, I'm begging you, Prabhupada is saying. With folded hands, I'm begging you. Don't become long-haired hippies again. Hippies means what? Materialistic life. That is the point. So Srila Prabhupada is begging. Why? The mind, if you're not careful, that will be the results. Once again, into materialistic life. So therefore, now in the Bhagavad Gita, what's the solution Krishna gives? Yes, abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena chagrita. Now what is the abhyas? Yes, to hear about Krishna. That is the abhyas. So anyway, we'll go to that verse. I suppose this is Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, 36th verse, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Okay, somebody read the translation purport.
Lord Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind.
Okay, so Lord Krishna is accepting that yes, very difficult to control the mind. Yes.
But it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. Purport. The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind as expressed by Arjuna is accepted by the personality of Godhead. But at the same time, he suggests that by practice and detachment, it is possible. What is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the supersoul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna.
Okay, so that's the important sentence there. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. That's the abhyas, that's the practice. Continue.
By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called Pareshanubhuti, spiritual satisfaction. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of food he eats. The more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind, and eating the foodstuff offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness.
Yes, so hearing. So hearing is very powerful. But the problem is we don't hear. That is the problem. While hearing also the mind cheats us. That is the problem. So the mind does not allow us to hear. So as we are trying to hear, the mind is going everywhere. Or one feels lazy, sleepy by the influence of Rajogun, Tamogun. But that is the abhyas. That is the abhyas. And that Krishna has said, Yato yato nishalati manas chanchalam asthiram tatastato Niyamyeta, bring it back, and hear. Because the medicine has to go inside, as Prabhupada is saying here. That is the treatment. The treatment is the hearing, correct? Hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mad minds. The treatment is hearing. But if we don't hear, then where is the treatment going? The medicine is not going inside. So one has to take this very seriously. One has to make serious efforts to hear. That is the treatment for the mad mind. Whether it is hearing Harinam or hearing Krishna Katha, one has to hear. The treatment is not sit in the class. One could sit in the class and do so many other things. The treatment is hearing. As again, 2nd canto, 8th chapter, 5th verse. What is that? Pravishta kannarandhrena swanam bhava saroruham dhunoti shamalam krishna salilasya yathasharat. What is the first word? Pravishta kannarandhrena. The sound vibration has to enter. Then dhunoti shamalam. Then the treatment will work. Then the medicine will work. And then the mala, all the contamination in the heart will be removed. But if we don't even make efforts to hear, one can sit for 10 hours in this class without hearing anything. It is not how much time we sit. That is not the point. The point is how attentively we hear. Hearing with rapt attention. That Srila Prabhupada is again beautifully explained in 1st canto, 3rd chapter, text 44. How to hear with rapt attention? Yes, when all the senses are being used for the right purposes, for the pure purposes, then the mind gets the right inputs. Senses give input to the mind. So when the senses are used for the right purpose, mind gets the right inputs, then the mind will be controlled, then the mind will be able to hear with rapt attention. So it's a whole process which Srila Prabhupada has given. But one needs to follow that. So the abhyas is that even though the mind is wandering, even though the mind is feeling sleepy, one has to make some effort to hear. But this is what is unfortunately greatly lacking in our moments. Greatly lacking. So even the basic chanting of Hare Krishna, one is not making efforts. And what to speak in other classes. And thanks to the mobile, people are so distracted. So, as we were speaking on the other day also, so years will pass, but spiritual progress will not take place. And then we will wonder, why so many problems? Why this problem? Why that problem? It's mad. The mind is mad. The madness is not going. When a person is mad, what do we expect? Mad person, what do we expect? You expect him to sit sanely? No. Mad person is going to do crazy things. Needless to say. And so, if we don't focus on taking the treatment properly, we are going to act like madmen. And the madman causes trouble for himself and trouble for others. So it doesn't matter how many years one has passed in the moment. It could be 20 years, it could be 50 years. But if one has not taken the treatment, what is the use? It's not the number of years that is going to make a difference. It's not posts and positions that are going to make a difference. None of that is going to make a difference. The only thing that is going to make a difference is how one has taken the treatment. We are all in a hospital like madmen. We've all come to a hospital. But who is going to get cured? Who takes the treatment properly as prescribed by the physician? So if we don't take the treatment as prescribed by the physician, then how can we expect to get cured? So somebody may claim to be senior, having spent many years, may claim to have big posts and position also, but if the treatment has not gone inside, how is a transformation going to take place? And we are going to cause great disservice to ourselves and disservice to Srila Prabhupada's movement. We have to remember this. So therefore, everything is there in the Shastra. Everything depends on how we read the Shastra, understand the Shastra, and apply the Shastra within our own lives. And so therefore, these Shastric courses are not simply a theoretical exercise to get a piece of paper. That's not the purpose. Unfortunately, by the influence of the mind, even these courses have become so cheap. That is the influence of the mad mind. Just mechanically do something, answer some questions, and get a certificate. What big deal is there in that? But if we don't understand what the Shastra is giving and try to apply, what's the use? The piece of paper is not going to save us at the time of death. You cannot bribe Yamraj with all these Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta. Yamraj will say, who cares for them? So, one has to understand all these points. Otherwise, the mind will be the cause of material bondage. And somebody can just read the previous verse, that 5:11:16. Just read the previous one, translation.
The soul's resignation, the mind, is the cause of all tribulation in the material world.
Yes, the mind is the cause of all tribulations in the material world. All problems are because of the mind. Just like the Avanti Brahman also said, no? No one is the cause of all the problems. Not the Devatas, not this one, not that one. Big list he gave. The only cause is Mana Parama Karanam. That is the only cause. Continue.
As long as this fact is unknown to the conditioned living entity, he has to accept the miserable condition of the material body and wander within this universe in different positions. Because the mind is affected by disease, lamentation, illusion, attachment, greed, and enmity, it creates bondage and a false sense of intimacy within this material world. Perfect. The mind is the cause of both material bondage and liberation.
Mind is the cause of both material bondage and liberation.
The impure mind thinks, I am this body. The pure mind knows that he is not the material body. Therefore, the mind is considered to be the root of all material designation. Until the living entity is aloof from the association and contamination of this material world, the mind will be absorbed in such material things as birth, death, disease, illusion, attachment, greed, and enmity. In this way, the living entity is conditioned and he suffers material miseries.
Yes. So in this way, the mind will cause material bondage and he'll simply continue to suffer material tribulations and material miseries. So therefore, if one wants to get out, then one has to understand the nature of the mind and how to control the mind. So what is the treatment? One has to understand all this and take it very seriously. So this is the answer to that question of Parikshit Maharaj as to why Lord Rishabdev rejected the mystic powers, because Lord Rishabdev was thinking that who knows, if I take these mystic powers, this mind will cheat me and I'll become attracted to the mystic powers and the real goal of life will be missed. So that is the reason why he rejected. So then now Shukdev Goswami once again comes to the pastime of Rishabdev and what he did. So anyway, we'll take a 5 minutes Gayatri break and continue. Hare Krishna.